Let's have a quick overview of the Squirrel rig. When opening the Blender file, you will find two objects, our Squirrel armature and the Squirrel object that is using an armature modifier. The object is called Squirrel and it has a Squirrel material. By default, you should have the text editor opened, with the Squirrel rig UI text file opened. When my rig is selected and in pause mode, if I press the play button, it will execute the script and generate a little UI that will allow us to hide or display the bones of our character. The script doesn't run automatically, you will have to run it each time you will open your Blender file. What if your script is not open because you don't have the text editor opened? You just go to the editor's panels, select the text editor, and in the library you will select the Squirrel rig UI, and then just press the play button. You can then close this editor area. The rig is pretty straightforward. The root bone allows us to move the entire character. The torso roots allow us to move the whole body and give it its orientation, but the legs won't follow. You will find a chest and a hip controller that can be moved, rotated and scaled. The neck and head can also be controlled by one single bone that will behave the same as the chest and hips bone. You can then find some tweaker bone that will allow us to only rotate the neck or only rotate the head. Smaller controller bones are also available to be able to squash and stretch the head, move the ears at will, close the eyes, or move the tip of the nose. All the bone transform channels are already locked when they are not to be used, making our keying set step a little faster. The legs are using inverse kinematic controllers, meaning that we are controlling the whole arm or leg by simply moving the hand or the foot of our character. While the motion should come from the shoulder, then the arm, then the forearm to the hand, it's inversed. The arm controller is just here to be able to give an orientation to the elbow. On the back leg, we will also find an inverse kinematic from the foot controller, but the heel and knee orientation will be using a pole target. It's a bone that can move freely in space, and the knee or heel of our character will be pointing at it. The tail uses a simple forward kinematic bone chain, so it basically rotates or is being controlled from its root to its tip. We will then find a lot of secondary controllers that will allow us to move each joint of the character. They will mainly be used to fix some deformation or to add subtle motion to the character. The rig also comes with some custom property that we can access by using this bone. When the bone is selected, we can find those custom properties in the item panel. Those properties will allow us to hide the legs of the character or the tail of the character. This will be really useful to isolate the body and clearly read its motion. The tail follow option allows us to whether isolate or not the rotation of the tail. By default, the tail of our character is following the rotation of the hips and is aligned with it. But if we select the property bone and set this tail follow to 0, the tail is not rotating with the hips anymore. This will make our life way easier when it comes to animating the tail. So before we jump into animation, I will just create the keying set for our character by inserting a keyframe on the channels that are going to be used and remove those that are locked. Nothing really interesting here, so I will switch to a time lapse till the end of this video.